A very happy and nice morning. Let us continue our workshop on the ECG. In the last session, we have looked at the pathological Q waves, the cause for the Q waves, and we also looked at the ischemic changes and the infarction changes that evolve over a period of time. And we also looked at the changes of NSTMI and the STMI, the Q wave myocardial infarction. And today, and we also looked at a very important slide to connect the area of the infarct and the heart with the blood supply and also with the leads. So with that background, let us continue, and probably by today's lecture, we would have completed the ischemic heart disease. Then we will be left with 2 more sessions on arrhythmias and probably 1 session on the miscellaneous conditions. So at the end of today, I am going to give you an assignment which will comprise of about, say, around 15 ECGs. And you will be commenting on those ECGs and writing a very structured report of that. I'll also show you how to write that structured report today. Okay, let us start off. A warm welcome. And then, of course, these will be very much clinically related, a clinical approach only, not the electrophysiological approach of the ECG. And this slide we looked at last time, right? So, wherein we said anterior infarct is this region of the heart, which is the anterior surface of the heart, which is supplied by the left anterior descending artery. And the leads we are going to see are V1, V2, and V3, V4. V1, V2 specifically septal leads, V3, V4 being the anterior leads, anteroseptal, all this together. Then we also looked at this, which is the lateral wall of the heart, which forms the lateral border and some part of the apex of the heart. And infarct of this is reflected in the lateral cameras. And we know the lateral cameras are V5, V6, and L1 and AVL are the lateral leads or the lateral cameras, left lateral leads. And the culprit vessel is either the diagonal branch of the LAD or the LCX. So, or the ELCX. So, one of the 2 vessels, mostly LCX in the lateral wall and partly probably with the LAD also. Then this is the diaphragmatic surface of the heart, which is called the inferior infarct. The inferior infarct is because of the right coronary occlusion, inferior infarct. And then the leads that are affected are shown are L2, L3, and AVF. Is the presentation seen by everyone? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Is it audible very well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Somebody raised a hand. For that reason, I just asked. So the inferior wall or the diaphragmatic surface of the heart is subserved by the right coronary artery, and we have 3 inferior cameras, the 60 degrees L2 and the 90 degrees AVF and the 120 degrees L3 cameras, and these record the inferior events. Suppose the patient presents with inferior infarct, we will be seeing changes here. Or if we see the changes here, we should surmise that there is an inferior infarct and RCA is the culprit vessel. Now, what is the posterior surface? This is the surface which is not visible to me, visible to us. So, it is exactly behind the anterior surface, anterior to the esophagus and the posterior structures like vertebral column, aorta and all. So, any changes here are reflected in a reverse way or an inverted way or a mirror image way in the anterior leads. So, posterior infarct can be diagnosed by mirror changes in the anterior leads like V1 and V2. And this posterior surface is supplied by both by the RCA and by the LCX. The posterior surface has got 2 parts, the right part and the left part. The right part of the posterior surface is by the RCA, the left part by the LCX. Okay. So, this is the orientation in relation to the infarct area, the culprit vessel, and the lead that we are going to see the changes. Let us now identify some ECGs and say which wall is affected and which vessel is affected. So these are all the various investigations. Yesterday we saw, we have at hand the people who are having not manifest disease, the atherosclerotic process can be brought out by not only X-ray chest, and ECG may not show much in the resting state unless there is acute infarction. It is not a sensitive test, but a specific test. Cannot rule out ischemia, but we can confirm disease. Treadmill test and a provocative test, troponin T and I at the bedside, LDH, CPK-MB, echocardiography and Doppler, calcium scoring and CT angiography, exercise is echo, that is the dobutamine ECG challenge echo, which is like, exercise ECG there. Here it is a exercise echo. And then the perfusion scans like stress thallium, system AB scan, and diaphragmal provocation scan. So 3D cartography is another new intervention, and PET scan also can be done. Of course, cardiac MRI also is there. The gold standard for coronary artery disease, of course, is the coronary angiography. Okay. This is an anterior infarct, anterior myocardial infarction. How do I know that? Because the anterior leads like V2, V3, V4 are showing the changes, and the pattern is QS. There is almost no R here. The R wave voltage is zero, and only the QS pattern is in slight ST coving and T inversion. A little evolved infarct, a little older infarct, and not very acute. If it is very acute, we would see very tall ST elevations. Okay. And also there is a complementary change you can see in L1 because the anterior wall is affected, the laterally showing a T inversion there and a little Q wave, which is still not a pathological Q in the sense it is not very deep nor very wide. So this ECG we are able to say that there are infarction changes in the anterior leads. What are the anterior leads? V1, V2, V3, V4. These two are the septal leads and these two are the anterior leads. So it's more an anterior myocardial infarction here. So that is this one. What is the culprit vessel? Left anterior descending artery. LAD major part or one of the diagonal, first diagonal branch or any one of them. So occlusion of the proximal LAD, which results in a picture like this. Due to the occlusion of the proximal LAD, significant Q waves and ST segment elevation and T inversions in lead V2 and V3. What are the Q waves in lead V2? This is actually a QS complex because there is no R wave. The entire thing is called a deep Q wave or a QS complex. And there is widening also because there are how many small squares? More than 3 small squares. So there is also widening. So Q waves and T inversions in lead 1 and only V1 and V2 show the changes. It's called septal. Associated abnormalities. So the conduction may be there. Is there a conduction abnormality? Yes, I can see here. There is also some amount of conduction delay is here because of the myocardial infarction. There is associated conduction delay. Septal perforation and acquired VSC are rare complications of anterior myocardial infarction. Actually, what is the reason why we are interested to know which wall of the myocardium is affected? Is it not enough if I know whether there is myocardial infarction, whether ST segment or non-ST segment? Because I know the treatment differs between non-ST segment and ST segment and unstable angina. We need to differentiate USA, NSTMI and STMI. But what is the logic or what is the understanding why I should know whether it is anterior wall or lateral wall or inferior wall or the posterior wall? What is the reason? Just think for a second. What could be the reason why we are interested to know that? One, to know which is the culprit vessel. Because the treatment will be on the culprit vessel. The acute treatment will not be for all. Suppose any cardiologist, if he finds the life-threatening narrowing of one region in the culprit vessel, if the other vessels are also showing some disease, they will not treat that as an emergency. What is treated as an emergency is only the culprit vessel is open. Electively, they may treat the remaining vessels. So for that reason, we need to know which is the culprit vessel. From the ECG, we can surmise which is the culprit vessel, and that infarct, of course, is related to the vessel. Second thing is the presentations clinically are different when different parts of the left ventricle are affected. Remember, all these are left ventricular infarctions only. We are not talking about right ventricular infarctions. And left ventricle has got an anterior surface, a left lateral surface, a diaphragmatic surface, and a posterior surface. The presentation is, if it is diaphragmatic, patient comes with shooting pain in the shoulder. If it is left lateral, he comes down the arm. Okay. If it is posterior, he will have back pain and interscapular pain. If it is anterior, squeezing chest pain, substernal or pericardic chest pain. Symptom presentation is different. Second important thing is the prognosis. The prognosis of an anterolateral infarct or anterior infarct is graver compared to an inferior infarct or a posterior infarct. Because for the contractility of the heart, maximum amount of pressure and the force is derived from the left side of the left border of the heart, the apex and the anterior part. Any infarct involving the apex, anterior region and lateral wall of the heart is going to throw a lot of constraint in ventricular contraction compared to a posterior or an inferior infarct. I'm not saying they are not dangerous, they are also, but then the prognostication is one, it is dependent on the wall that is affected. Second, septal infarcts are associated with conduction defects like bundle branch block, either 1 or 2 or 3 fascicles, all the 3 bundles, anterior and posterior fascicles and right bundle. So whenever we see a septal infarct, we must be looking for conduction abnormality. And also inferior infarcts are associated with arrhythmias. Okay, hypotension is major a feature of with anterior and lateral infarct. So these are certain of the clinical features and presentations, and prognosis are dependent upon the wall that is affected and the vessel that is affected. For that reason, I would like to know which wall is affected. Now let us see. What do you see here? Just sink in for a moment. V1, V2, V3, V4, very hyperacute and elevation of the ST segment. The ST segment is grossly elevated from the baseline. Almost the ST segment is, this is the R wave and no S wave has come, and the ST segment is starting there, the T wave is merging with that. This sort of appearance is called the tombstone appearance. Tombstone. You might have seen some tombstone. There will be a tomb like this, and there will be a plaque on which they write so and so is lived here and he died, his mortal remains are here, or whatever. So it will have a vertical surface and a slanting surface. That is a tombstone. This is a tombstone appearance. And the extent of the infarct, you see, V1 to V6, both anterior and lateral, every part, not only 2 contiguous leads, almost all the leads, AVL and L1 also, or the left-sided leads are also showing. And you see here depression of ST segment. You should not call it as NSTIM of the inferior wall, because these are complementary changes of the STMI of the anterior lateral wall. So whatever is happening, the complement is looked at here, and those depressions are in fact the mirror changes of this or the complementary changes of the anterior lead. Such a scenario is called hyperacute myocardial infarction. And just before that, what will you have is very tall T waves itself may appear, and that will be replaced by ST segment and T wave together up. This hyperacute presentation, the patient will be, in this case, will be very highly distressed. And can you see the heart rate here? 300, 150, 100. Not much of tachycardia in spite of the severe infarct in this particular ECG. But then, the patient must have been on beta blockers of treatment already. And this particular presentation immediately calls for acute thrombolysis, either a chemical thrombolysis or open the vessel in the cath lab. So because time is muscle, if I have a delay, this will progress onto Q wave infarction, and there will be some amount of muscle loss will be there. We don't want that to happen. So hyperacute T waves call for an emergency treatment. And remember, every practitioner who sees this ECG would have already given aspirin 325 when the patient entered with chest pain before the ECG is taken. Immediately after the ECG is taken, 300 milligrams of clopidogrel, a beta blocker, and then you also give low molecular heparin, G2B3A inhibitor epsiximab also should be given, triple platelet, low molecular weight, and then beta blocker, nitroglycerin and pethidine depending on the pain, and probably you have to give him 40 milligrams of statin also as a preventive measure. With that only, the patient has to be shifted to the cath lab or referred to the higher center. Without giving the basic treatment, we are not justified in referring this patient. Very striking, isn't it? Hyperacute MI. Note the hyperacute elevation of ST segment. R wave is continuing with the ST complex, ST segment, and the complexes are looking rectangular. Sometimes tall and peaked T waves in the precordial leads may be the only evidence of the impending. Told you know, it may start as only peaked T waves and later on go on to this one, the tombstone T, that is 50% of the R wave will be the tall T wave there. In that case, sudden appearance of LBB indicates myocardial infarction. Any patient presenting for the first time with left bundle branch block or to some extent right bundle branch block also, more notoriously LBB, is a candidate of myocardial infarction. How do I know that it is the new appearance? Previous ECGs. All the previous ECGs are normal and this ECG is showing LBB. No other evidence is required. Straight away it is myocardial infarction. Myocardial infarction and dextrocardia, we need to record on the right side. I'll show you that also. Look at this ECG. Where are the changes? We are not given the limb leads. We are only given the 6 chest leads. I'm able to see a little ST elevation of 2 millimeters. In V1, contiguous leads it is there. And there are deep symmetric cup-shaped inversion, T inversions, V1, V2, V3, and then V4, V5 also I'm able to see little T inversion, but ST segment is rather normal in both the leads. So these are the lateral leads, right? V5, V6 are lateral leads. It is not there except that there is ischemia. There is no injury because I don't see ST changes. There is no infarct. This part is spare. So what is the part that is affected? Even this also looks better. So it looks more like the septal leads are affected. V1, V2 and extending a little into the V3. Here also symmetric inversion of the T wave and STs are almost normal. So here the elevation of ST segment and T inversion in V1 and V2 without the involvement of the lateral leads tells me the infarct is septal infarct. Acute septal infarct. And we already knew that septal infarcts are associated with probably some conduction defects and arrhythmias also are possible. Note the ST elevation in V1, V2, V3, T inversion up to V5. R wave voltages in all the leads are well preserved. This is very important. Look at the R waves here. The R waves are quite well preserved. That means there is no major loss of the left ventricular electrical potential, loss of myocardium. So the the major part of the left ventricle is spared because the R waves are quite good and I don't even see widening of the QRS complex, which tells me that the health of the left ventricle is quite good except a little septal infarct here. The prognosis in this patient is certainly better compared to the previous patient which we have seen. For example, this patient you see, the prognosis here is much bad. So the prognosis, as I told you, is a score again, summary score. One component is the ST elevation, the TROP enzymes, the LDH, and then the BNP, and the diabetes, age, recurrent infarct. Is he already on aspirin? These are the things which will give you the scoring. When we come to the theory part, I will let you know about that. Now, this is a septal infarct. The prognosis is better. Now, look at this. So this is the anterior surface, and this is the LED here, and this is the lateral surface. Could be due to occlusion of LCX or one of the diagonal branches of the LED, mostly due to LCX, lateral wall infarct. Lateral wall infarct should reflect changes in the lateral leads. We already know that the lateral leads are L1, AVL, V5 and V6. These are the lateral leads. We are able to see little ST elevation and T inversion. Here definite ST elevation and T inversion. There is also a path Q here because the path Q is at least half of the R wave there, and also it is a little wider also. And here also I am seeing the pathological Q and widening of the QRS with the T inversions here. So this is an acute lateral wall infarct. Why not anterior? Because the anterior leads are spare. Why not inferior? Inferior leads also are spare. So it looks like it is a lateral wall. How old is this infarct? Is it very acute? Unlikely, because we don't see that much amount of injury changes in the form of big ST elevations. On the contrary, we also see ischemic T inversions are evolved T waves. These are the evolved T waves. So it is probably a little older infarct, maybe 2 or 3 days, or because Qs have already appeared, it must have been 3 days or more. So it is an acute infarct, all right, but patient has not come immediately. So immediate thrombolysis is not the answer. We have to take him for elective angiography and then treat the culprit vessel. There is no point in thrombolizing a patient of this ECG because there is no acute thrombosis he has come, already passed the golden period. So more or less, he is rather stable in fact, and we don't want it to get into complications and salvage the myocardium and prevent future recurrences. We do an elective angiography and then treat the disease depending on that. So in lateral myocardial infarction, you see changes in the lateral cameras, lateral leads. And this is pure lateral because we don't have anterior, we don't have inferior either, okay? Due to the occlusion of the marginal branch of the main trunk of the left circumflex or due to the diagonal branch of the anterior descending artery, one of the two could be the culprit vessel, acute lateral myocardial infarction, significant Q waves, ST elevation, T inversion, you see in the lateral leads there. This is the most common form of MI. What is the most common form of MI? Somebody else? Not the anterior, not the posterior, not the inferior. It is the lateral infarct, which is very common. Here the apex also is affected. Look at this ECG. Immediately your attention should go to the areas. Of course, I have pointed out with the arrows. And even without the arrows, your eyes will go on to the ST segment. And the ST segment here are hyperacutely elevated. Here also very much elevated, more than 10 millimeters elevation I am able to see. And continuing into V3, little bit in V5, not much in V6, little bit in V1, L1 and also in AVL. L1 AVL tell me it is lateral. And this also is lateral. So this tells me it is anterior. So anterior and lateral, anterior lateral. But you can see the Q waves also there in L1, and also here there are deep Q waves, more than 50% of the ensuing R wave, and width also is slightly wider. So these are pathological Q waves, and this infarct is rather an acute infarct of the anterior and a little older infarct of the lateral. This is the lateral, but little older. So we don't see much STs there, and the lateral infarct has extended onto the anterior region with pronounced sudden changes in this one. So such a candidate is when he is progressing with the ischemia, in infarction, and the new areas are being affected, he is a candidate for thrombolysis, and also he is a candidate for immediate coronary angiography and treatment. So this is a combination of lateral and anterior. The lateral may be a little older, and anterior part is the recently added one. Severe chest pain, why the infarct is extending? That is the reason. Acute anterolateral myocardial infarction. Note the marked ST elevations in V2, V5, V2 to V5, ST elevation L1 and LVAVL also, ST persists for ST elevation may persist after 3 months also. If the ST elevation persists after 3 months, also, you are still seeing the STs are elevated. The diagnosis is aneurysm of the infarcted area. STs are the injury currents, isn't it? They are not of ischemia, they are not of infarction. They are the injury. The injury should settle down in a matter of 24 hours and the ST should come to baseline. They are not returning, and if the STs are continuing to be shown as elevation even after 3 months, then that is an aneurysm. T inversions have not appeared as yet, and then R wave voltages have dropped markedly. That also we have. Every time you see, you must look for the R wave voltage. Here there is actually we are supposed to get some R wave here, a very good R wave here, and a very tall R wave here. We did not have any R waves. This again says the left myocardium is compromised electrically and is not throwing any potentials. So acute anterolateral infarction. Small R wave in L1 and AVL also, we are not able to see a very tall R waves here. So this only says that the extent of involvement is much larger. The prognosis is rather poor. Now look here. Again, V1, V2, V3, V4. Typical acute anterior. Not much with the lateral wall here. Not much with the lateral wall. Little bit AVL also is seen. ST elevation. There also mild is there, but not much. This is also mostly anterior. Little extension to the lateral. There are no cues here. So there is no old lateral infarct, unlike in the previous one. So this is an anterior infarct, little bit sort of spilling over into the lateral. What are these? This is not NST, a non-ST segment elevation infarction. These are the complementary changes of that. Okay? These are the complementary changes of that. And for the rhythm, we have taken a strip. There is no rhythm abnormality as we can see. What is the heart rate? 300. 100 is the heart rate. Please put off your microphones, all of you. And there is what is called the left axis also. R wave voltages, or there is no R wave actually. ST segment. Hello, please put off your microphones. Nilima. Okay, so these are the R wave voltages. We cannot see separate R waves, only the ST segment that we are seeing as elevated and combined with the R wave. This is an acute anterior infarct with a little extension onto the lateral side. Okay. Anterolateral. Note the marked ST elevations in the chest leads, V2 to V5, also ST elevation in the L1 and AVL mild, T inversions have not appeared as yet, so hyperacute. R wave voltages have merged with the ST markedly in V3, V4, V5, V6. In addition, complementary ST depression is seen. That's what I'm saying. This is the complementary changes. This is not a separate inferior wall NSTMI. This is only a complementary change. If you don't have these changes that this is normal, then I will say there is a sort of subendocardial inferior infarct. These changes with subendocardial inferior infarct will not have any changes here. In the presence of these changes, this is not subendocardial infarction of the inferior wall, but just a complementary change of the anterolateral wall. Look at this ECG. What are you seeing? T inversions in the lateral leads. ST is returning to normal in the anterior lead, almost normal here. Normal here, this is also coming to normal. Here STs have come to normal. Symmetric deep cup shaped inversions, ischemic T inversions. So what sort of infarct is this? Of course, the wall that is affected is lateral mainly and maybe little bit of anterior. anterior lateral, just like the previous one. We can see the lateral leads. And the T inversion suggests that it is already an evolved infarct or it is treated. If you open up the vessel by giving either a thrombolytic agent like RT-PCR or open up the vessel by doing an angioplasty, that the ST segments return to normal, T wave changes will persist. So this is a treated patient of anterior lateral with little anterior. What is the reason for the acute changes disappearance? We are asking. Acute changes disappeared because the culprit vessel angiography has been done and the culprit vessel is opened up and automatically thrombolized anterior lateral RTPA has been given. Note the ST elevations in chest leads are returning towards baseline. Deep T inversions appeared in all the leads. R wave voltages have improved in V2 to V5. Can we see that? Yeah. R wave voltages have started coming here, and then good R waves there in the lateral leads. Then no residual Q waves are seen. This patient was thrombolized immediately within the first 2 hours, and the MI has become stable. That means he has come in the golden period. Thrombolytic agents, you know, urokinase, streptokinase, RTPA, and then TP, any one of the things. What is this ECG? Again, you see the T inversions, ischemic T inversions in lateral leads. Good R waves are there, no Qs are seen, and the ST segments have returned to normal. A very stabilized, treated myocardial infarction after a period of 1 month, probably 1 month. So as we have seen the evolution, the first thing that appears is that hyperactivity. Then the ST segment will elevate. Then the ST segment comes down. Then the T slowly becomes inverted. Then the Qs appear. Then the Qs disappear, STs come to normal, and T wave inversions persist. So that is what we have seen here in this ECG also. This is a little older infarct, maybe around a month or so. Stable anterolateral myocardial infarction, maybe around a month. These are the residual changes. No Q waves are seen in this residual Q waves 4 weeks after the acute MI. Now, this finishes the acute infarction, acute anterior infarction. What did we look at? We looked at the septal, we looked at the anterior, we looked at the anterior septal, we looked at the lateral, we looked at the anterior lateral, we looked at a one which is 1 month old, we looked at a one which is treated by thrombolysis, and we looked at a very hyperacute one, extending from the lateral wall. So almost all varieties of anterolateral myocardial infarction we have looked at, and we also told that this is the most common one, and this is the one which is associated with more worse prognosis compared to other 3 zones. Let us go to the inferior one. So inferior leads we know are L2, L3 and AVA for the inferior leads. So with the 3 inferior leads showing the typical QS pattern and not much of R wave drop or anything in this, and there is also a Q in the V6 here, and there is an associated T inversion here in these leads. This image, and of course the anterior leads are normal, lateral leads are more or less normal. The most important thing is the inferior leads are affected. So this is the inferior surface. What is the culprit vessel? Culprit vessel is RCA, right coronary artery. The presentation will be inferior means diaphragmatic. Patient may have persistent hiccups. Patient may present with left shoulder or right shoulder pain. Right and left shoulder radiating pain, and then and also the hiccups and the epigastric pain are the features of this particular patient. And this is an inferior wall infarct without extension into the anterior or the lateral wall. Due to occlusion of the right coronary artery, significant Q waves, ST elevation, T inversions lead to 3 AVF usually associated with arrhythmias. Remember, bundle branch blocks and conduction defects are a feature of the septal infarct and anterior infarct, particularly septal infarct, and inferior infarcts are the ones which are associated with arrhythmias. Okay, that's important. Now, what is this ECG? lateral wall appears normal. There is no ST elevation here, and I don't have the chest leads. From the limb leads, I have to infer. I'm able to see ST elevation, and T is had to become upright. So ST elevation in the inferior leads and complementary ST depression in the AVL. This tells me this is not the NSTMI of the lateral wall, but this is an ST segment elevation infarction of the inferior wall. So when you have an ST segment elevation in the inferior leads, a complementary changes are seen. You should not call this as NSTMI of the lateral wall. Because in the absence of these things, probably you can do that. But in the presence of these things, this is only a complementary change. More so, this is not reflected also here. Okay? Now, this is an acute inferior infarct. Why acute? ST segments are elevated. T waves have yet to become inverted. Isn't it? And ST is pulled up along with the T. It is elevated in all the inferior leads. Inferior infarct is due to right coronary artery, also called diaphragmatic infarct, and it presents with epigastric pain, left shoulder pain, right shoulder pain, persistent hiccups associated with arrhythmias. Acute inferior. The ST elevations in the inferior leads, namely L2, L3, AVL, T inversions yet to appear. AVL leads show complementary ST depression and T inversion. That's what I showed you here. This is the complementary thing and not a separate ischemic event in the left side of the heart. Now look at this. What are you seeing? Some M pattern, RSR pattern and V1. RSR pattern and V1 and V2 and a slurred QRS complex is here and that slurred S wave here tell me that there is a right bundle branch block. Okay, right bundle branch block is all right. But there are changes of the ST segments also. The ST segment is pulled up here, or that pulled up here, and then this notching is because of the bundle branch block. And here also it is pulled up. So all the inferior leads, there is an acute inferior wall infarct. And also, not only this, I am able to see some changes in V1, V2, which are depressed ST segment and then the T inversion and RSR pattern. And this could be posterior wall, which we'll come to know later. So this is an inferior-posterior myocardial infarction with right bundle branch block. Inferior posterior myocardial infarction is an extensive infarct because the inferior wall is involved and the posterior wall also is affected. Lateral wall is not showing except that there is some amount of ischemia, no injury, and then no sort of infarction here. And these depressions are complementary of this one. These depressions are complementary because the R wave voltages are preserved. Because of the preservation of the R wave voltage, we will say the lateral wall is rather unaffected. There is an RBB, of course, in this ECG. There is also inferior infarct with a posterior extension. This is inferior and this part is posterior. I told you in V1 and V2, you see, if you see a tall R wave in V1 normally is supposed to not have R waves. V1 is only a downstroke. If you see a tall R wave in V1, it is three diagnoses. One, posterior infarct. Two, right bundle branch block. Three, right ventricular hypertrophy. Only three are possible. Or extreme, there is a rotation of the heart also. You can produce. V1, V2 may produce a right-sided rotation of the heart can produce a picture like that. Mostly these are the three conditions. What are they? In posterior infarct, RVH, right bundle block. Here we don't know whether this could be due to right bundle branch block or it could be due to the infarction. But how do I know? Because the T waves are not in the same direction as the major. Upward deflection is major. So they are in the opposite direction. If the T waves are in the opposite direction, look here. It tells me that there is infarct. T waves and the and the R wave are in the same direction, then it's no problem. They're in the opposite direction, then it's important. Note the ST elevations in the inferior leads, namely L2, L3 AVF. We have seen that. Hyperacute T waves merging with the ST segment, that also we have noted. V1 and V2 and leads show RSR pattern and ST depression in T inversion, inferior myocardial infarction. Associated RBB also is present with the wide QRS complex. That's what we have seen there. Now let us see next. What is this info? What is this ECG like? Is it normal ECG or abnormal ECG? First question. What is the heart rate like? 300, 150, 100, 75, 60. Between 50 and 60. Very stabilized heart rate. I don't see Q waves here. I don't see any Qs. STTs are normal. STTs are normal. Here, very good. The voltages of the QRS complex in V5, V6, and there is no anterior infarct, there is no lateral infarct. Anterior lateral walls are very good, and the lateral wall also is very good. Inferior wall, there is no inferior acute infarct, but here also there is no acute infarct here, but there is a suggestion of either old or treated or lysed. Could be either a lysed inferior, because I see a QS here, I see a ST returning to baseline and T is inverted in the inferior leads. It could be an old inferior infarct, or it could be a treated lysed inferior infarct. So this is what I have to see. How do I differentiate between them? The enzymes. In the acute phase, even after lysis, the enzymes are still elevated. If it is old infarct, the enzymes would have come to normal. Or look at the previous ECG. If the previous ECG is like this around 3 months back, this is an old infarct, isn't it? Two things, either you compare the serial ECGs or look at the enzyme pattern, then you know whether it is the older and acute lysed one. A history of lysis also will be there. Okay, case of inferior infarct, thrombolized within 2 hours, ST segment returns to the baseline, T inversion signify residual ischemia, this patient became stable. So this we know that ischemia is by the T wave, injury by the ST segment, and infarct by the Q wave, that's QS complex. So this is a treated infarct with a little bit of injury, and of course there are continuing ischemia of that particular inferior wall. Look at this. Almost like the previous one, but then here the Q waves are very deep. QS complexes are very deep QS, no ST elevation at all in any one of them. T waves almost are becoming flatter almost here. Here they are still slightly inverted. Other leads are looking very normal. Rate also is very stable. Such a patient is old inferior infarct. Very old in the sense no STs, T waves are getting normal almost here, and a very deep prominent Q wave. There is no R wave at all here. Normally we expect this leads to be up. We know these 4 leads should be up, and this lead is not up, this also is not up. That is because the R wave voltage is dependent on the muscle there. The inferior muscle is lost. That's why there is an electrical hole there, and you see a deep QS complex. This months after the acute event, patient suffered inferior MI, residual QS waves in L3 AVF, T inversions in L3 AVF, STs are isoelectric, L2 T inversion became almost normal, and we can see that. Almost L2 T inversion has almost become normal. And then chest leads R wave voltages are very good, which tells me that there is no effect of the anterior lateral wall. The inferior wall has suffered an infarct and has recovered well. And the Q is a scar tissue there. The scar of the inferior infarct is seen as an electrical hole in the inferior heart, which produces deep pathological Q waves. Now, look at the posterior myocardial infarction. Posterior wall, as I told you, is complement of the leads in the anterior leads. Normally, we don't see an R wave at all in V1. But here, look at a very tall R wave is seen, and the T waves are inverted in V1. Here they are upright, as though we are seeing a V5 complex here. As though like a V5, V6, we are seeing V1. If you see a V5 like picture in V1, then you should think of posterior infarct. And usually, if it is acute, the ST segment will be depressed. Instead of being elevated, they will be depressed because this is a mirror change. What is the culprit vessel? The right half of the posterior surface is by the right coronary, left half by the left circumflex. Either of them could be the culprit vessel. And how does the patient present? Patient presents with interscapular pain. And we have found out several patients who had interscapular pain, acute features. Take the ECG, posterior infarction. This goes unnoticed unless you are careful, because you don't see typical ST segment elevations and T inversions. Only thing is, the V1 shows an unusually tall R wave. I told you when there is an R wave in V1, three conditions: posterior infarct, right bundle branch block, right ventricular hypertrophy. Is it right ventricular hypertrophy? If it is right ventricular, I will see a deep S wave here. I don't see that. If it is right ventricular hypertrophy, I must get a deep S wave here. And if it is RBB, I must get an RSR pattern and a wide QRS. That also is not there. So most likely it is posterior infarction. Do drop will be elevated. Acute posterior infarction. What is little missing in this particular recording is we don't see a typical ST depression, which we expect here, which is a complement of the ST elevation. I'll flip the image and show you what is complement. Due to occlusion of the distal left circumflex or posterior descending or distal right coronary, mirror image changes are reciprocal changes in the anterior precordial leads. V1 shows unusually tall R waves. It is a mirror image of the deep Q. In fact, that is the Q which we are seeing as a tall R wave. DD, 1 is posterior infarct, 2, of course, RVH, 3 is the RBB, and 4 is a right-sided rightward rotation. So now you see, this is very typical. You see the R wave is appearing here, there are R waves here. Why is this not NSTMI of the anterior septal? Why it is not NSTMI of the anterior septal? It could be like the ST depression and all these things. When in NSTMI, I get the T inversion, which I don't have. Now, I will not have R waves this prominent if it is an NSTMI. These R waves are in fact the Q waves, which I am seeing as R waves as a mirror changes. R wave in V1 and V2, particularly V1, suggests and tells me it could be posterior infarct. So there is a little anterior also, inferior also slightly seen. So could be an acute posterior inferior or posterior wall, basically posterior wall. Lateral wall is normal, as you can see here. Okay. We will flip this image and see. I'll just try to flip it for you and then see. I selected this image and flip it for you and show and see. Picture format. So I just wanted to flip this image horizontally. Now you see, this is the typical ST elevation and then the Q's there. Okay, we will flip it. This is proceeding this way because we flipped it. We will say vertically I flipped it. So these are actually the typical, if I have to read from this side. So this is the T inversions there and then the typical ST elevations and the T inversions and then the Q waves. Q, ST elevation and T inversion. Q, ST elevation and T inversion. Q, ST elevation and T inversions. This is the Q, ST elevation and T inversions. So these are the mirror changes of what you see. And let us get back to the, this is how we started looking at. And this tells me that if I just hold the ECG in the flipped position, I immediately notice that it is inferior, posterior infarct. Just as I have flipped the image, and put the ECG this way and see, you see typical ST elevations and Q waves in a posterior infarct. So V2, V3 show tall R waves, which are nothing but the Q waves. Even V1 shows R wave, V1, V2, V3 leads, RS ratio is more than 1. If it is more than 1, there are 3 possibilities. One is right ventricular hypertrophy, the other is right bundle branch block, the third one is the posterior infarct. I don't see evidence of right ventricular hypertrophy or bundle branch block. On the contrary, the tall R wave I am seeing is the Q wave that is mirrored as the R wave there, and these leads show up. Deep ST depression is seen. Here the leads, these ST depressions are of course in the mirror, they are the ST elevations. ST depression is in fact the mirror ST elevation. Same leads show up sharp T waves, which are the inverted T waves in the mirror. So a little difficult to diagnose this posterior infarct unless you have a specific eye for that. So understand this posterior infarct. Now look at this ECG. So R wave should not be that much, and ST depression here is ST elevation in the mirror, T upright is the T inversion in the mirror. So Q, ST elevation and T inversion in the mirror, typical posterior changes are there, and you see the right sided chest leads. These are the chest leads are placed on the right side, V1 to V1S to V5R. They are also showing some changes here. And also inferior leads are there. So it is a typical acute inferior posterior myocardial infarction. It's an inferior posterior myocardial infarction. Double wall. Which wall? Inferior wall and the posterior wall. It's a double wall infarction. V1, V2, tall R waves, V1, V2, RS more than 1. R waves are mirrored Q waves of the MI. ST depression, in fact, is the mirrored ST elevation of MI. T waves are mirrored as the T inversions of MI there, or up here. L2, L3 AVF show gross ST elevation. That you can see. L2, L3 AVF show gross ST elevation. Here, and this is because of the acute inferior infarct. And this is inferior MI. V4R and V5R show ST elevation. These are the V4R, V5R. They are showing right-sided ST elevation, which again tells me that it is right ventricular MI also possibly is there. There is an inferior wall, there is a posterior wall, and there is a right ventricular MI also. How do I know right ventricle? These are the V5, V6 are not typical. They are V1R to V4R kept on the right side, and they are showing ST elevations. So it could be a right ventricular infarct. Will right ventricle get infarcted? Yes, why not? It is a muscle and it has got a blood supply. And if it is lost or occluded, it will get. Not very common. Right ventricular infarct. Because of the thickness of the myocardium is less. Left ventricular infarction 85-90%. Right ventricular infarct only small proportion. I had a patient who presented with typical features of myocardial infarction. These leads on the left side are normal. When we have put the leads on the right side, we could see the changes in the right, and then drop was positive. So it is the right ventricular infarct. What is this? So there is a typical RSR-like pattern. There is an R wave here, and the T waves have become normal. Here also the Q waves are there, and the T waves are becoming normal. T waves are inverted. ST is normal. This is a old inferior infarct with old posterior infarct. Old inferior posterior infarct, no acute ST changes. Of course, patient is stable and the enzymes are not. So it is important for how do I know old or acute? One, you go by the amount of ST segment elevation. Two, you go by the enzyme. Three, you look at the previous ECGs. And four, with the history. But that he had suffered an infarct earlier. Okay. Now look at this. What is your observation? Any one of you can type or open and say. What is your observation? It's very interesting ECG. Govind?
Sir,
Tell me. What are you seeing? I'm pointing.
yes,
Anterior and septal leads are showing very tall ST segment elevations with T
yes, sir.
inversions
V2,
and a deep
V3 and V4.
US type of pattern. But look at the marking here. What are that? These are recorded on the right side and not on the left side.
Right-sided dextro. Yes, sir.
Right-sided chest leads means what it could be?
Dextrocard.
It could be a dextrocardia with myocardial infarction. Exactly the same thing occurred in my practice. One day, an old lady around 65 years has been brought with typical features of chest pain, referred by some other doctor on ECG to my center. ECG was taken. Normally, ECG was normal on the left side. Then my nurse came and told her she is breathless and very sick, but I said, ECG is normal, something must be wrong. Then you place the ECG leads once again. They did it normal again. Then I asked them to place the leads on the right side. A typical like this only we have seen. And drop we did, it was positive. And when I asked sir, doctor garu mundu chepparu naku కొన్నేళ్ల ముందు నా గుండెకాయ left side లేదు, right side. Slowly she is giving the history. Since it is a referred case, we haven't examined the patient first. Referred cases we don't normally clinically examine. But when the ECG was like that, we examined and we could see the apical impulse on the right side. And this is an infarct with the dextrocardia. Always look for this marking there. In clinical practice, if left-sided leads are normal, and if the patient is sick enough to be treated as myocardial infarction, you have to immediately do the right-sided leads. This is an MI in dextrocardia. Okay, what type of MI? Anterolateral and acute anterior MI in this one. Mostly anterior, not much lateral. So it's a acute anterior and anteroseptal MI of the dextrocardia. 55-year-old female is sent to ECG by another. This is the lady actually. Sent by another doctor. She has dextrocardia of which she did not give a history to us. She has typical clinical features of acute MI, routine chest leads placed on the left chest, no evidence of MI, ECG with chest leads on the right chest, PT to V6, typical acute anteroseptal MI, dextrocardia and MI. Keep that in mind. Right ventricular infarction, dextrocardia with MI can occur. Not only dextrocardia, there could be dextroposition also. A patient may have severe emphysema on one side, or there may be a pneumothorax on this side. There may be a pleural effusion on this side. Heart is shifted. The same fellow may come with infarction. Because of the pleural effusion, the heart is on the right side. You need to take the picture like this. So dextrocardia, dextroposition, all are possible. What is this? Tirumala?
Sir,
What could be this ECG? Look at the ECG. It tells me there is a lateral wall, right? Okay, it also tells me there is an inferior wall. Sorry, this is an inferior wall acute MI, and also lateral there is a complementary changes probably. But you see what are the markings here? Right-sided leads.
right.
So this is the right
Right-sided.
ventricle. Right ventricle will not have a tall R wave anyway, like the left ventricle. But then whatever little R wave of the right ventricle is there, that also is lost. And then there is a ST elevation and nesting. So if you see an ECG like this, it looks like an inferior infarct. Yes, straight away, but there is an inferior infarct along with the right ventricular infarct. Okay, right ventricular infarct also should not be missed. Yes, it is right ventricular infarct. 65-year-old typical clinical features. Acute MI, routine chest leads placed on left side showed no MI, limb leads showed acute inferior MI, ECG with chest leads on the right side, V2R to V6R showed typical changes of acute MI on the right ventricle. It's an inferior MI with right ventricular myocardial infarction. Tropes are very high. Coronary angio showed 95% block of the RCA. So this is an RCA disease. Because RCA disease, right ventricle also is separate with the RCA. So we can see an inferior infarct with an right ventricle. This is a combination. So we end here. Dear God, let a miracle happen. This young child is praying for her father. Please save my dad from heart attack. Let that not happen to any one of our children or grandchildren or kith and kin. They shouldn't be praying, oh, I pray you, God, please save my dad or uncle or grandfather from heart attack. God cannot save. God will help only those who help themselves. God is nowhere. God is you yourself. In you only the God is there. If your behavior is normal, if you exercise regularly, if you do all the things that are required to keep your risk factors down, except the age and the gender, all modifiable risk factors are under control, then of course, this sort of prayer will be a very rare event. You can postpone or prevent the onset of heart attack. Let alone wait until this stage. Look at this young, sweet child, how disturbed she is in her face when her dad has got acute heart attack, and she must be around 10 years and her dad must be around 40 years. If she loses her dad around 40 years of age of the dad, you can imagine the fate of this child. And these will become, orphan children or children without proper support for their life. And the family is shattered. So how can we prevent that? Learning this is one thing, and diagnosing infarction is one thing, and understanding that this is a disease which gives enough time, most of the time. And you have the risk factors, control of the risk factors, and behavioral modifications, and total lifestyle control are the only measures. You might have heard G.S. Seth. G.S. Seth is the head of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Intervention Cardiology Division. Okay, Professor G.S. Seth. And he has done in his lifetime till date, he has achieved a Guinness record. He has done 10 lakh angioplasties. How many? 10 lakh angioplasties. And when somebody asked how to tackle coronary artery disease, he didn't say, come to me, I'll do angioplasty. No, bypass is always a bypass. It is not it is bypassing the problem. And someday or other it will again come to the other part. Bypass is just temporarily bypassing the problem. He says prevention is the key. Primary prevention is the key. Who has to do it? The practitioners, you youngsters have to start doing that. Okay, with that, I'm going to end today's lecture. And if you have any doubts, there are 16 participants, good. You can discuss any one of the things. I showed you anterior, anterolateral, anterior septal, acute, evolved, lysed combinations. And we have also looked at inferior, inferior-lateral, inferior-posterior, posterior, dextrocardia infarction, right-sided right ventricular infarct, all combinations of the ECGs which are possible with infarct you have looked at. Now I'm going to post in the groups, all the 3 PG groups, and also to Sudhir Garu, a question paper containing, maybe I have not prepared, I'll do that today sometime and post it, maybe 15-20 ECGs of ischemic heart disease, and coupled with some bundle branch blocks and some arrhythmia, some heart blocks, first degree, second degree, and also some axis deviations, and I mix them up so that you don't expect everything to be an infarct. And you have to decipher and tell me, write a report. So please note down, the report will be, is it sinus rhythm? First question. Am I looking at an ECG of sinus rhythm? And I'm going to give you only ECGs of sinus rhythm for this arrhythmias. Second is what is the rate? Second one. rhythm, rate, then axis. Okay, then atrial abnormalities, P wave abnormalities. 5. Any conduction defects, PR interval, first degree, second degree, right bundle, left bundle, vesicular blocks. Okay, then left ventricular hypertrophy, right ventricular hypertrophy, ventricular events and ventricular hypertrophy. Then any ischemia, any injury, any infarction. If there is an ischemic heart disease, is it acute or sort of chronic stable angina? If it is looking like acute, is it unstable angina? Is it an STMI? Is it STMI? If it is STMI, which particular wall it is? Anterior and lateral, anterolateral, anteroseptal, posterior, inferior, inferior posterior, inferior lateral, all combinations, dextrocardia, and also right-sided infarct. This is the way you have to write the report. Rhythm, rate, axis, P wave, PR interval for the conduction defects, and then the Q waves, the QRS complexes, their duration again for conduction defects, and also is a short, narrow QRS complex. Is there any atrial hypertrophy in the P waves? Any ventricular hypertrophy? Can you see? Any bundle branch blocks? Can you see? And any left axis, right axis associated, you will see. And any ischemic changes in the form of ischemia, injury, infarction, acute, spliced, stabilized, old, different walls. And then, of course, any arrhythmias are there that after learning about the arrhythmias, that also you will comment upon.